Hello, everybody. It's ED Rosenberg. This afternoon, I'm with Cynthia Stine once again. Cynthia, how you doing?
Hey, hi there.
Hi. Thank you for coming on, and I really enjoyed your latest blog post and article you sent me. Thank you. I'm going to put the link below so others can see, and I can tell you I agree 100% with everything you wrote. So great job there.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll jump right into it. Copyright infringement. Why are they increasing?
I think the reason they're increasing so much is because a lot of sellers have caught on to the fact that this is a way they can get their competition off a listing. And so you see some bad actors who are using Amazon's tools for copyright protection in a bad way. And so that's part of why I think there's just so much of it going on right now. Also, we've got people who are using it as a way to extort money from sellers. So I've seen several sellers who've gotten email messages through the platform basically saying, look, if you don't pay us money, usually a percentage of sales or, a few $1,000s, then, we're going to sue you, right? And it looks really official and it looks like it's written by a lawyer. But when you check it out, you'll find, or even check out with the manufacturer or the rights holder, that company doesn't work for them, right? They have a lot of them, they have their own in-house lawyers. And here's an outside firm that is contacting you saying, I need $3,000 and it's just extortion pure and simple. So I do, caution people when they get these notices. Of course, you have to take it seriously, but just to be aware that it may not be real. It may be a trick. And so, but also sellers have discovered this as a way to get people off their listing. If they're in the brand registry, they may file this as a way to get rid of sellers, which is fine if you have a legitimate claim. But I want to tell people that you cannot just use this tool willy-nilly. When you send a claim into Amazon, you are signing a legal document that states under oath that you're telling the truth under penalty of perjury. And so if you're not telling the truth, it's a problem. And I've been able to turn the situation around with several people who have filed claims because their claims were bogus. And we were able to, and when I say turn it around, my client was suspended. We got them back. Then the other company got suspended because we turned them in. So, just beware. It seems like a smart thing to do until it backfires.
Right, so nothing changed recently from Amazon's perspective. It's just that sellers or other companies discovered how to sort of game the system.
Yes. So from Amazon's perspective, the process is still the same. They still handle it the same way. And, so I will say, because this gets confusing, Amazon does have brand managers that manage certain brands. And so they may come down, like if you're selling Samsung right now, or you're trying to sell, certain restricted brands or brands that are now requiring approval, or, that's different, right? That's different than a copyright infringement case. That's a brand restriction. But there are some brands that do have Amazon bird dogging their brands, like Disney. Sometimes if you put something up that has a Disney brand or logo, or it's a Disney item, you will get a notice not from Disney that it's a copyright infringement, but from Amazon, because that's their brand manager that's watching out for it. So
what can be done about all this? If you want to do everything straight and you don't think you're infringing, what can be done about it?
Well, if you get something like from Amazon's internal brand managers, like Disney is an example, but they have other brands, you're probably going to be wrong there, right? Like in that case, you just sort of shut it down and say, I'm sorry, and I won't do it again. And usually that's good enough, right? But let's say the other guy is wrong, like they just have to be wrong, and then you're going to need to fight it. So there's a couple of ways to fight it, and usually we have to bring in an attorney, an IP attorney at a certain point, because they may have to go do the research if it's a trademark thing, they may need to go do the research. If it's, depending on what kind of infringement it is, they need to go find out if it's real, first off. And then if it's real, they'll advise my client, like, okay, you need to do this, or we should just throw in the towel. The other thing that comes up is people who are using this as a tactic, like other sellers, they won't work with you, right? So you may look at something and you may email them, because Amazon will always give you their email, and you'll say, hey, I want to resolve this with you, and you never get an answer back. And so sometimes you have to hire an attorney to get an answer back. But if that doesn't work, if even having an attorney, then you need to file some papers against them, because now they're not following policy. Because Amazon policy says that, they can kick you off the listing, but they have to work with you to resolve the issue. So, we work closely with an IP attorney to handle these cases, because sometimes they need an intervention legally as well as by us. So
now, okay, so you said that Amazon's rules is that they have to work with the seller. So why, when the seller responds, can't I just go back to Amazon? Like, why do I have to hire an attorney? Can't I just go back to Amazon and say, hey, I'm a seller, I responded to this claim, he's ignoring me, he's going against your policies, let me back on?
sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Now, if it's just that listing that's suspended, and you realize that you're not going to get back on, right? Like, okay, I was infringing. I didn't realize it, but I was, right? Then you can just shut down your tent, and you can send that email, and you can say, okay, I'm not going to do it again. And you can mention that the other seller never responded to you. But if your account is suspended because of this, then you absolutely need that seller to send an email to Amazon that says the issue has been resolved. If they don't send that email, you'll never get reinstated. And that's the problem. These people, the rights holders, have so much power that they can just, not do anything, and you're stuck, right? You can't get back on the listing, and sometimes you can't get back on your account. And so that's when we need an attorney involved, because they will write a legal document and we'll file a policy violation. So it's a 1-2 punch. We work together to prove to Amazon that we have done our best to resolve this issue and that the other seller is not responding. At that point, usually Amazon will then reverse it. They'll reinstate us and they'll shut them down.
I've seen cases where someone will get an infringement, and then you'll respond, and then Amazon, someone that's suspended, and then Amazon will say back, oh, by the way, I'm still waiting for a plan of action for inauthentics used as new and other things. What's up with that?
Well, so once you're suspended, Amazon pulls out everything in the kitchen sink. So that can happen. That's why when we do a reinstatement, we go inside and do an assessment of the account and try to see what other problems might be lurking, because we know that Amazon will take that opportunity to clean house with you and say, well, let's deal with everything. Let's deal with the missing items. Let's deal with the used sold as new. Even though they may not be as serious as the reason why you got suspended, sometimes they'll do that. And yes, that's what makes it a real pain.
Right. Now, how does a seller file a copyright infringement case?
Okay, that's actually surprisingly easy. So if you go to Seller Central Help and do a search, there's actually an online form that you fill out, and you upload your documents of proof that show that you own the rights, whatever it is, if it's a trademark, if it's a design, however your intellectual property is being infringed upon, you get to, upload it plus any proof that you have. And then, like I said, you indicate when you press send that you're submitting this information under penalty of perjury and that this is the truth as you know it.
Right. But no, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know how to file a copyright infringement case, but what I'm specifically asking is, how can a certain company say that you're selling something which is only allowed to be sold in the UK and not the US? Like, I've seen those infringement cases. Like, they'll say, you got it from a US distributor and he's selling it in the UK, and you're infringing, and how do they prove that?
Well, usually that means that there's a distribution agreement that the manufacturer has in each country. And so that, basically in that case, the manufacturer would have provided some documentation that says, hey, my authorized distributor in the US is this company, my authorized distributor in the UK is this company. And because very similar products can actually be very different depending on what country they're in, Amazon has to pay close attention to this. It's because it may be that in Europe, this formulation would be illegal because there's a chemical in it, something like that. So Amazon will take that stuff pretty seriously.
Okay, I see. Now, are sellers obligated to work with other sellers who communicate with their accounts? In other words, let's say somebody sends me a threatening letter that I'm infringing, nothing, just a communication. Should I just ignore him? Tell me the parameters of that, please.
Okay, so if you get a threatening letter just through email, that is different than getting the one from Amazon. The one from Amazon, you absolutely have to deal with, right? Because it's Amazon. But anything you get through email, there's no legal obligation. So you have to decide if you think that person or company is going to pursue it further. So, you can ignore it, right? Because again, if it doesn't come through Amazon, you're not obligated to do anything about it. I tell people I would not answer those, or if you do, I would answer them very vaguely, like, tell me how you think that this is infringement. Just real, not very neutral, non-committal, see what they have to say. But for the most part, no. The only thing you would have to think about is, are these guys going to come after me? Are they going to now file through Amazon? Are they going to do dirty tricks like buy my inventory and then claim it's inauthentic? That's what's hard to know. It's like, how pissy are these people? Do they have any claim, right? If you feel like maybe they do have a claim, then you might want to work with them. And I would start, like I said, just very vague and non-committal. But if you think that they're just full of it, then I would ignore it. So, and kind of just wait and see what happens next. Because, like I said, there are so many of these guys that are out there that are just, they're a step above Nigerian princess, in terms of what they're selling you, right? They said they'll say anything, and it's not true.
Right. Anything else you've been seeing a lot of, Cynthia, lately?
Yes. Actually, we've been seeing a lot of safety claims, and this is very recent. And in looking into this, what's weird about it is it's not the safety group that's shutting people down. So people are getting shut down mostly in health and beauty. So I'm seeing it in supplements. I had a guy contact me this weekend who is selling blood pressure machines. And this is what people need to understand. It's not a competitor, okay, but it is seller performance overstepping their bounds, okay? The safety department or the safety group, they won't shut you down for known problems. Like some of my supplements, my guys with supplements, there's known side effects to supplements. Like they know, like for some sensitive people, maybe it gives them a headache or whatever, right? And so the safety group doesn't shut you down because your supplement gives people a headache. They shut you down because it could be poisonous. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so these guys, my clients who have been shut down for safety lately, should never have been shut down. And sometimes it's just the ASIN and sometimes it's their account. And so we've figured out how to get them back. But that doesn't make sense either because the usual way that you respond to safety does not work. So it's been screwy. So I would just say to people, if you're getting listings taken down or you're getting warnings about safety, go ahead and file a plan of action and take it seriously and understand that you're talking to seller performance and not the safety group. So, and so when we write our plans, we really think about seller performance, what they like to see, like versus the safety group, which is totally different. Well, we continue to have inauthentic. Oh, I know. We are still having product review company issues. And you remember how we talked about AMZ Tracker, AMZ Trader a while ago? I talked about that and how they were being named in suspensions. Okay, they're still being named in suspensions as of last week. And my poor client who I talked to, we did an expedite for him last weekend. I said, why? Why did you work with these guys? Because I knew he'd read my stuff, right? And he's like, oh, he said, well, I went to them and I talked to them and they assured me that they were compliant now. And I'm like, what else are they going to say? Like, we're not compliant, but still come and work with us? So anyway, I would just tell people I really, really, really would not work with AMC Tracker and AMZ Trader because they are still not compliant and sellers are still being shut down for using them. And we've had several sellers where we had to go back a year and do an audit of all of their reviews to pick out the ones that were non-compliant.
AMZ Tracker can say back that it's not really them. If they would have used it without sending excessive reviews, they wouldn't have been suspended.
That's not why this guy was suspended. He was not suspended for excessive. He was suspended for using this review program and for reviews that were against policy. And when we went through and did the audit, here's what we found out. There were about 240 reviews that were posted before they ever received the product. 240! And then there was a bunch of reviews where they did not put in the disclaimer. So, you know, again, Amazon is still naming this company as a problem. We don't see them naming these other companies. We see them naming AMZ Tracker and AMZ Trader, which is the same company. And so people are getting suspended in the UK and in the US. And I would just simply say to people, I don't think they're compliant yet. I would look elsewhere. That's my opinion. And, you know, I hate to see people get suspended for using these guys, basically.
Right. No, it's never really good to get suspended, actually.
Yeah, never. But especially when I've specifically told the community that these people have been named in a suspension directly.
Right. But okay, Cynthia, so that was really good, and thank you so much for coming on. And as always, we'll keep in touch. I really appreciate it.
All right. Have a great week.
You too. Bye.